Hi guys, today we're going to take a look at how to clean the interior of your car like a professional at home. You're going to need a couple of things, relatively inexpensive items. You're going to need some microfiber cloths. You're going to want more than one here because you're going to want to change up the cloth so that you're not moving the dirt around and wiping something clean with a dirty cloth. You're going to want soft bristled brushes, and these are actually the order that we're going to use them in. These are relatively inexpensive, but it's also non-scratch. You're going to want a non-abrasive scouring pad. Now these can be a little tricky to find, but you don't want a pot scourer. You want to make sure that it is a non-scratch abrasive pad. You don't want to scratch things like your painted surfaces or your trimmings that are piano black. We've got our foam applicator pads, and these are great for getting into little nooks and crannies. We're going to be using those quite extensively. We've got a foam applicator pad, and these are also relatively inexpensive and they're also non-scratch. Final thing is disinfectant wipes. Now you don't want those that have aloe vera or moisturizer in it, so you don't want baby wipes, you want a disinfecting wipe. Then a couple of the products that we're going to be using. We've got a cockpit spray here, which is a cleaner, and it's going to fragrance the cabin a little bit, so it's going to make it smell a little bit better. We have an upholstery and carpet cleaner, and it's got this applicator on it here, and that gets really into the pile of things. The car we have here has a leather interior, so we're not going to be using that on the leather, we will be using it on the carpet. Because we are a leather interior, we've also got a leather cream, and we're going to be applying that to the leather to keep it soft and supple. So, let's get started. Cleaning a car can feel like a very arduous, unrewarding task. So my recommendation here is grabbing a whiteboard, a chalkboard, or even just a piece of paper and writing down the following steps. Because it will sometimes feel like you're running around chasing your tail, running around in circles, can become a little disheartened. It is going to take a little while to get this done properly. So grab that piece of paper or the whiteboard, put the steps down and mark them off as you complete them. That way it's going to feel like you're accomplishing a little more. Alright, we've written down our list here, and it is as follows. We're going to dust the dash, then the fascia, then the seats. Then we're going to move on to the wiping down of the dash, the fascia and the seats. After that, it's disinfecting the steering wheel and the gear knob, and then treating the leather. Our final step is the vacuuming, and we're leaving that until last because we're going to be wiping the dust down onto all the lower surfaces. The vacuum is going to clean up all those loose particles. So, let's get started. We start out by dusting everything off, and we're going to take our microfiber cloth here, and we're going to start from the top and we're going to work our way down. So we just dust the upper areas. Yes, believe it or not, this does get dusty. And then we work here on the dust. Just give it a wipe down, get that dust. Frequently change the surface area of the cloth so that you've got a nice fresh surface, wiping everything down. Then we're going to take our soft bristle brush and we're going to get into the little areas around the vents. I'm going to dust this all off in the dashboard here, get all those loose particles out in between the little gaps and the little joints everywhere. Now the reason why we start with the driver's side is because, well, this is the one that gets the most traffic. So this is the one that really needs the most attention. I'm going to wipe down the seats as well, and just getting loose dirt and debris and fluff and whatever off of it and moving it further down the cabin towards the carpets. Wipe it, and of course we're going to get in there with the brush, and we're just going to dust all the creases and the crevices, all the loose stuff. We want to get that out of the way first. The areas of the car that come into contact with the human skin are going to be the areas that need the most attention. That's because you're naturally going to be giving off dead skin cells and body oils, lotions and the likes, and that's going to make trims and sections of the vehicle look a little oily and greasy, and that's also going to trap a little bit of dirt. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our interior cleaning spray. We spray a little amount on the cloth, and we're going to work it into a few of the areas. And we're going to do it in the order, so it is going to be the dash, the fascia, and the seats. Now, of course, this naturally does include the door cards, as well as the transmission tunnel, and other little odds and ends. Just work it in there, and you can see the dirt that's coming off. Quite grim. We continue this treatment on the fascia and the center transmission tunnel. Give everything a nice wipe down, all the knobs and buttons and switches. Now, for the slightly more hard to reach places, you're going to grab your soft bristle brush. You're going to give it a liberal spray of the cleaner, and you're going to get into these areas. Swing a couple of the switches so that you don't end up leaving marks in the positions where they were. Just get in between everything. We're now going to pay a little bit of attention to our vents. And we're going to get in there with our brushes, and we're going to just dust it nicely. We do have a video on how to clean the vents, quick and easy, but it is the same process. So we're getting in there. We're going to take our foam applicator pad. This one isn't ideally suited for these eyeball vents, but those corners get in there and wipe out the dust quite nicely. There we go. That's looking good, and you can use a little bit of your interior cleaner to get in there and give it a final wipe down, and it's looking really good. There we go. Nice. The steering wheel is probably one of the dirtiest aspects of a vehicle. Not only does it come into contact with your hands, which have come into contact with who knows what, but it's also coated in saliva. As you speak, it is going to end up on the steering wheel, tiny little amounts. So we're going to clean this, and we're going to be pretty thorough about this. But this is a little tricky because this is a controlled surface. So we're not wanting anything that is going to leave a shine or is going to make this slippery. This is essential to your control of the vehicle. You don't want it slipping out of your hands. So, start it out, same process. We give it a nice wipe down of all the dirt. And we get into the crevices with our brush. If you haven't done so already, pay attention to which areas are hard plastic or painted and which are actually leather bound. We're going to use a little bit of our cleaner on here as well now. So we've done the dusting bit, we're going to do the wiping bit now. You definitely do not want to use a silicone-based spray. And heaven forbid you use something that is actually intended as a lubricant. Furniture polish is not a good idea. All right, so we're just going to wipe this down with the interior cleaner. But then what we want to do is we actually want to grab our brush, and we're going to saturate the end of it. And we're going to get here into the stitching of the leather now. And here we've got these perforations. You really do want to get in there. This can be a little more time consuming, and you want to use a fair amount of product on this. If it seems too greasy and too oily at the moment, don't worry, it will dry up. Your cleaner should be alcohol based. But you really want to get in there and you want to and wipe it down already. It's going to feel a little bit sticky, and that's fine. Because what you're doing there is you're removing all the body oils that have accumulated there, and the leather is now quite raw. So what we're going to do as well is we're going to grab a disinfectant wipe. And this disinfectant wipe, we're just going to grab the steering wheel and we're just going to grip it around like this, and we're going to clean off a lot of this dirt and this grime. Once again, it's going to appear a little bit shiny. That gives you an idea of how much dirt and grime is embedded in the steering wheel. As it dries, you'll start seeing it coming up with a bit of a matte sheen. We're going to want to do this on the steering wheel and on the gear knob, our control surfaces. And remember, it is normal for it to feel a little bit sticky afterwards. You've just exposed a lot of the natural leather. And now we move on to the seats. And we're going to be quite liberal with our cleaner on it. We've done the dusting bit, now we're going to go to the wiping bit. The wiping bit, well, yeah, wiping's a bit of a loose term because we're going to use various amounts of abrasion or effort depending on how dirty the areas are. So the wipe is one thing, but if we really want to get into these pores here, we're going to go with our brush again. So once again, we're going to give it a little dousing coating of our cleaner. And we're going to just really get in there. We're just going to work it in there. That's with the brush. Wipe it away. And this really gets in the seams and the stitching. And if you've got contrasting stitching, this is probably where you're going to see the biggest difference. Here on the bolsters, very hardy areas. Let's really get in there, but I'm not getting that as clean as I want, so I need to step up the game a bit. Wipe that down and get an idea. Still got a couple of little marks that we can see here, just in the grain. So now we move on to that abrasive pad. Test it on an inconspicuous area first. So spray a little bit of your cleaner and then maybe here at the back, just give it a little bit of a run and see, is it scratching it? No, it's cleaning it quite nicely. So now we can continue. You do not want to use this on painted surfaces. This is only for your hard-wearing areas of leather and trim. Yes, there we go. Much better. You can see there some of the dirt lifting already. This is the dirt that wasn't coming out with the cloth or the brush. Work it just in circular motions, just so that you can get into all the grains and piles. This is for your leather seats. Don't worry, after this we are going to treat them. So we've cleaned up the leather and we've possibly pulled away some of the sheen. Depending on what product you're using, there may be a little bit of a sheen left, but it's not good enough for the leather. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our leather treatment, and I'm going to grab one of our foam applicator pads, and we're just going to put a small amount on there, and we're going to slowly but surely work this into the leather. Nice circular motions, making sure to get into the grain of the leather. That's a good smell. That smells like leather. Little time consuming, but trust me, it is worth it. This is going to keep the leather nice and supple. It's also not going to make it too oily for clothing and the likes. It's just going to look after it. Just work this in all the way around into all the aspects of the leather. But remember, you're not going to want to do this on the steering wheel because that is a contact surface. It is a control surface. So you're going to want to steer clear of that one. And one of our last steps now is to vacuum. We are going to vacuum twice. We're going to vacuum and we're going to use the carpet and upholstery cleaner just to clean the carpets up a little bit, and then we're going to vacuum it again after that. First vacuum just gets rid of the big particles so that we're not fouling up our applicator, and the second one is just making sure that we get all the cleaning material out of the carpet. So here we go. All right, now we move on to the cleaner. Now this one is best tested on a loose mat somewhere just to make sure that it's not going to stain. What you do, give the can a good shake. You're going to spray it and it comes out as this foam, and that's going to go into the carpet, and you just lightly brush this into the carpet, making sure that you get good even coverage. If you happen to have too much of it on the carpet, you can just wipe out most of it with another microfiber towel. And once we've done all that, we can give it another quick vacuum again. That really looks good. Now, one last thing is we're going to grab a clean, brand new microfiber cloth, and we're going to wipe down the inside of the windows there. We're not going to use any products. We're just going to get in there with a little bit of elbow grease and give them a good proper wipe down. There we go. Your interior is clean. Cleaned like a professional.